Once you let the weaponizing of the dollar genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in.
Yeah.
And then you throw into the mix the fact that, we are grossly mismanaging the world reserve currency. I don't know, Michelle. I don't know exactly what the West can do to push back or to mitigate this growing cohesion of countries. I'm sure they'll try. I'm sure they'll do something. But in the end, is there really anything that they can do to stop this trend? I would argue no. James Rickards has mentioned about what's going to transpire August 22nd, which we'll get to in a moment. But the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is the largest regional military and financial organization in the world. How to lose your reserve status, or how to certainly diminish the significance of it by weaponizing the dollar. They told the world that they would be open to accepting other currencies for oil. Now, when we look at the BRICS phenomenon, it's a big deal. It is. I think it's a huge deal. Everywhere I would look, I would see 41. But in counting the countries on the list that these articles would show 41, I would only come up with 25. Where are the other 16 countries?
Buckle up, because we're in for a wild ride with Schectman as our guide. It's all about the cash, the clout, and the currency chaos. Stay tuned and keep it slanguage savvy. So be focused, because I'm going to be dishing out my take on all this slangtastic financial. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and let's dive into this wild world of money moves.
Big deal. Right now, that represents almost 75% of human population, about 50% of global GDP. We talked about how they had applied for the BRICS membership, and that's kind of where we left off. Subsequently, they have also applied for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This is a very, very big deal, and also dovetails into what James Rickards has mentioned about what's going to transpire August 22nd, which we'll get to in a moment. But the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is the largest regional military and financial organization in the world. It represents about 60% of the Eurasian landmass and 40% of global GDP. It's very significant in and of itself. And with Saudi Arabia joining BRICS, the Belt Road, and now the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, we can see the movement that they are making. We can see what's important to them. We can see how they are pushing away from the Western influence and getting very close with some very, very powerful entities, influential entities that are growing more so by the moment. They also applied for the BRICS New Development Bank. And while in Davos at the meeting, just after you and I last had our interview, they told the world that they would be open to accepting other currencies for oil. Now, when we look at the BRICS phenomenon, it's a big deal. It is. I think it's a huge deal. I think what really is going to make it very big is what James Rickards has told the world, that on August 22nd, he expects the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Eurasian Economic Union to join forces with the BRICS. Now, I find this to be interesting because I just spoke at the Rule Symposium, and in preparation for my presentation, I wanted to see how many countries had signed up for BRICS. When I last did the interview, the Rule Symposium a year ago, July, I believe there were 16, and now there's 41. Everywhere I would look, I would see 41. But in counting the countries on the list that these articles would show 41, I would only come up with 25. Where are the other 16 countries? The BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the Eurasian Economic Union. You're damn near close to 85% of human population. And this is a growing trend in motion. It is a very, very big deal. And I guess what they're doing is they're being very methodical in the way that they are laying the groundwork, the foundation, to when they flip the switch, they have laid, I think, the proper foundation to do it the right way. And so whether or not we see a gold-backed currency in a few weeks or in a few months or next year, to me, the alliance that is being built, this alliance that represents the majority of human population that is not going green, is a very big deal. And Saudi Arabia only adds to that significance with their movements nestling into these organizations. You look at the overt manipulation for gold and silver on the COMEX, you could argue, how the hell did oil get to negative $40 a barrel? Because of the manipulation and the gambling on the commodity exchanges. Until it's not, until there are exchanges out there that, like the Moscow exchange or the Shanghai Gold Exchange or whatever exchanges take the lead. And, I think when you look at the way that things are valued in commodities are valued or priced, you have the tail wagging the dog, where the futures market is creating or defining the price of the underlying commodity. It's not supposed to be that way. And I think when you talk about an entity like the Moscow Gold Exchange, they were very open in saying, we're going to, build this exchange and its credibility to combat the manipulation and the suppression of the Western markets of the LBMA and the COMEX. So yes, and isn't till it isn't. And a term that I talk about a lot is logarithmic decay. Little by little by little by little, then all at once. So each one of these events that we see is just another chip out or another piece out of the Jenga tower, little by little by little. Yes, it's still priced in dollars. Debt still needs to be resolved and paid for in dollars, but will it be rolled over in dollars, or will it find a new place to put their money? Will it be in gold? Will it be in another currency that will allow these countries to trade more freely with one another until we see a common BRICS currency? Look, all of these things, I think, Michelle, are very fair. They're fair pushback. They're fair questions. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can see the acceleration, the cohesion that ultimately is going to lead to that, in my opinion. So little by little by little, and then all at once. And if you look close, you can see that's already happening.
All right, let's break it down and lay it straight, my friends. You've just been hit with some real talk from the one and only Andy, the economic mind-dropping truth bombs. So listen up, because what he's serving isn't just food for thought, it's a 5-star feast for your brain. Picture this. The dollar, once let out of its cage, ain't going back in. It's like Pandora's box, baby, and that genie's flying free. Andy's calling it out. We've been playing fast and loose with that world reserve currency, but guess what? The world's got its own plans now. Now take a moment to peep the scene. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization strutting in as the heavyweight champ of military and money moves. They're not just joining the party, they're throwing a whole new bash. BRICS, Eurasian Economic Union, and Shanghai Cooperation talk about a power posse. It's like they're making their own blockbuster, and the West's just a side act. Andy's got his finger on the pulse. Saudi Arabia's sliding into this superstar lineup too, flexing their muscles on the geopolitical stage. Gold and silver, don't even get him started. The commodity casinos are playing games, but Andy's got his eyes on those real players. Moscow Exchange and Shanghai Gold Exchange. It's like a battle of titans, and Andy's sitting ringside with the popcorn. Watch out for that phrase. Little by little, then all at once. It's like watching water erode a rock. The world's shifting, and that old guard might be sweating bullets. Weaponizing the dollar? Yeah, Andy's saying it loud and clear. Genie's out, and it's all bets off. Let's be real, though. Can the West pull a Houdini and reverse this trend? Andy's raising an eyebrow and smirking like he knows the answer. The world's vibing with new alliances, and it's like a crescendo building up. Trying to rain on their parade? Well, good luck with that. 'Cause once the train's rolling, ain't no stopping it. So here's the lowdown, folks. Andy's dropped the wisdom bombs, and they're exploding minds like fireworks. The West might be in a tight spot, but the rest of the world's not looking back. Keep an eye on those alliances. They're not just shaking hands, they're changing the game. And that dollar genie, it's out there, shaking things up, and it ain't going back in.
How to lose your reserve status, or how to certainly diminish the significance of it by weaponizing the dollar, by pushing back and pushing away from Saudi Arabia, telling them we're going green. And it is the protection of the Saudi kingdom and the valuing of oil and dollars that has given us this significant privilege for 50 years. They're doing everything they can, in my mind, to incentivize the rest of the world to do this, to find a a safety in numbers. And that, it's interesting. Are they going to push? They should have done it already. Look, they sent Janet Yellen there. They sent Kissinger there. He's almost 100 years old. What can they do at this point? What can we do? Are we going to threaten military action? I don't know really what we're going to sanction them, which is only going to further their resolve. I think we've already crossed the Rubicon. I don't know that there is a lot that we can do to normalize these relations. Once you let the weaponizing of the dollar genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in.
Yeah.
And then you throw into the mix the fact that, we are grossly mismanaging the world reserve currency. I don't know, Michelle. I don't know exactly what the West can do to push back or to mitigate this growing cohesion of countries. I'm sure they'll try. I'm sure they'll do something. But in the end, is there really anything that they can do to stop this trend? I would argue no. 85% of the world is still trading with Russia. I don't think it really will mean anything whatsoever, quite frankly. And I think that this is a trend that will continue no matter how the war in Russia plays out, the NATO alliance. And this is exactly the rallying cry that is bringing everybody to the table.
That wraps up today's crypto news highlights. Stay tuned for more updates, insights, and analysis from the world of cryptocurrencies. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content.